Welcome to Yoga for Therapists and Their Clients. My name is Hannah Tosi, and I am a therapist here at the Trauma Institute and Child Trauma Institute. I'm also a Kripalu Yoga Teacher. Today we'll be exploring a brief yoga sequence that is trauma-informed, which means it is sensitive to folks with trauma histories. And the theme is finding our center, place of being grounded within the ups and downs of life. So I'm currently sitting down on the ground on a yoga mat, but you don't need a yoga mat. You could be seated on the ground anywhere on a cushion. You could also be sitting in any chair, or you could even do these movements standing. So there's really a lot of choices, which you'll notice as a theme throughout our practice today. So come to wherever feels comfortable for you, or as close to comfortable as possible, whether that's seated or standing. And begin to feel where your body is making contact with the supports beneath it. So if you're seated in a chair or standing up, you might feel your feet on the ground. But if you're seated on the ground, you might feel your sits bones on the ground beneath you, the backs of your legs. So just notice for you, where is your body making contact with the supports? Kind of, if it feels okay, maybe giving yourself a little bit of a release down into that support. So it's helping to hold you up. You don't have to work so hard. Yeah, and from there, maybe finding a bit of a lift. So a bit of a lifting sensation, maybe through the sternum and the chest. Bit of a lengthening up through the whole length of your spine. From down where your tailbone meets your hips, up through low back, mid back, upper back, back of the neck, and the crown of the head. So there's lengthening, and you get to decide, do you lengthen up really tall, sitting up as tall as you possibly can, or is it a little bit more of a relaxed, still alert and uplifted, but a little bit more of a soft lengthening sensation? So you're feeling this kind of juxtaposition of the releasing down into the ground and the lifting up towards the sky. And softening through the shoulders, the jaw. Noticing if there's other places that you're holding on to tension that you don't need to right now. Inviting them to release and let go. They might not be ready yet, but just a bit perhaps. And finding your breath in the center of this. Noticing where you're breathing naturally right now. Might notice the depth of your breath, the location of it. And see what it's like to breathe a little bit more deeply, a little bit of a longer, slower exhale, if that's available to you right now. And if it doesn't feel right to kind of shape the breath or manage it with any of these breathing techniques. You can simply stay with the observing of your natural breath, how it's naturally coming in to support you. And from here, we'll experiment with the alternate nostril breathing technique. For this breathing exercise, we'll be breathing in through the right side and out through the left side nostril. And then same thing in reverse, in through the left side and out through the right. So it goes back and forth like that. So let's give it a try. You'll take your right hand and you'll curl in your pointer finger and your middle finger. So that leaves your ring finger and your thumb out. And then you'll place the thumb over the right nostril and take a breath in through your left nostril. Close the left nostril with your ring finger, open up the right, and breathe out. Breathing in right. And breathing out left. Breathing in left. And breath out to the right. Going along with this at your own pace. If you'd like to, you can place the pointer finger and middle finger right at the spot between your eyebrows as you do this. In the center of your forehead. And if you're noticing that your nose is kind of stuffy, you can do away with the hand movement and just visualize that you were breathing back and forth. That can actually help to sometimes clear out the nasal passages a bit and have some tissues nearby. And you don't have to press hard as you do this. You can just really gently, softly touch on each nostril. We'll do this for a few more rounds. If you'd like to, you could add in a visualization of a healing light coming in and out through each side. So as you breathe in, it's filling up that side of your body, and as you breathe out, it's washing down the other side. And sometimes these visualizations can be really supportive and feel like a resource, like they're bringing kind of a positive or adaptive kind of shift into our mind, body, spirit space. But other times they can feel kind of ungrounding, unrealistic, not adaptive. So if for any reason that doesn't resonate for you, just stick with the physical sensation. What does it feel like to sense the breath coming in and out, alternating right and left? And after your Last round. Next round, you can release your right hand down towards your lap. And take a moment to let your breath come back to its natural rhythm. Just noticing how you're feeling after doing this alternate nostril breathing technique. Many people describe it as calming or relaxing. And sometimes it can also bring up tension. Some things that were under the surface might bubble up. So whatever arises for you, just tending to it with lots of compassion. Now we'll keep breathing, keeping our awareness connected to the breath in and out, and add some movement to the breath. So on an inhale, we'll begin to float our arms out to the side. And on an exhale, bring them back down. And on your next inhale, you can choose. Maybe your arms are out to the side, or maybe they're closer together in front. Maybe they're kind of asymmetrical. One's out to the side and one's in the front. On your exhale, you're bringing your arms down. And on your inhale, you're reaching your arms in any direction that feels sort of natural and organic to you and an expression of what your body needs right now. Leaning into a stretch that feels like an authentic movement for you. And if you don't know what that is right now, you can just go right ahead with your out to the side and up and back down. Maybe just meeting that invitation with curiosity and knowing there's no right or wrong. So letting your hands travel along any path feels right for you. Feeling free to add in other stretches or movements. Let's do that twice more. Trusting your body, trusting your brain, your nervous system. Knowing that there's no right or wrong here. No better or worse. And letting that movement begin to subside. Making your way back to a comfortable, or your as close to comfortable as possible, neutral seated position. And noticing what you feel. For this next part, we're going to be doing some hip circles, some torso movements, and you might like to close your eyes for this to kind of enhance the inner sensation. But you also might like to keep your eyes open and perhaps rest them down towards the ground or on something that feels pleasant or neutral in your environment, like perhaps a plant or a pet. An object. And kind of up to you, depends on if your inner world, if you want to enhance that right now, or perhaps the outer world feels a little bit more like a grounding and safe space. So you choose with your eyes. I'm going to bring mine to closed. And we'll just begin to shift our body weight around. So maybe you lean over to the left, noticing where you feel that motion. On an inhale, coming back towards your center, and exhaling, breathing over to the right, sensing where you feel this motion. Inhaling back to center, maybe doing the same things forward and back. So you're inhaling and rocking forward, and exhaling to center. On an inhale, moving towards the back, leaning back. You can hold on to your knees to keep yourself from tipping over. And then exhaling to center. Now, keep on exploring these different directions and maybe linking them together now. So from the side to the back, over to the other side, front. Just making some circular-ish movements here. Again, moving in a way that feels right for your body. Maybe seeing if you can begin to build awareness of the place in your body that, or places in your body that are kind of activating to hold you up as your body shifts around with gravity. So I know for me, I tend to feel a sensation kind of in my abdominal area, like a center of gravity there that keeps me from tipping over. Something down in my hips as well, chest. So you see what feels right to you, kind of resting your awareness with that sensation. And you might not find anything right now. It's just a kind of an inquiry to explore. You get to make the movement as big or as small as you want. You can reverse directions if you haven't already. Getting your shoulders, your head into it. And then beginning to wind this down, making the movement a little more small and subtle, coming back towards the center, towards a neutral position. Just noticing if you did find a place that felt like a center of gravity, maybe resting your awareness there for another breath or two, like an anchor point, grounding place. If that was not so available to you, perhaps just bringing your attention downwards towards the lower parts of your body, your navel, digestive center, the central location that your spine extends up and down from, arms and legs out from. Very good. Now coming into a side bend if you want. So on your inhale, take a breath in, reach left arm up overhead, and walk your right arm out over to the side. If you're in a chair, maybe hold on to the bottom of the chair there. If you're standing, maybe the right arm goes to your hip. Just leaning over, softening down into the right arm. Taking a few breaths here, feeling an opening in the left side of your rib cage. Maybe you gently roll your heart up towards the sky here on the left side with the help of that support of your right hand grounding you. Then take another breath in when one comes along naturally, coming back towards center, stretching out through both arms, and exhaling, left arm down onto the ground, and inhaling, leaning over to your left. And notice here how your left hand feels on the ground. Is it like a soft kind of yielding, releasing into the ground, or is there kind of a collapsed energy through your shoulders, your elbows? Is it really rigid? Let's see if you can find like a in-between place where it's soft and receptive, kind of some like shock absorption, but also strong, stable, supportive. You can play around with moving between a more rigid and a more soft energy in the supporting shoulder, arm, hands, fingers. And just another breath or two here. Maybe if it feels interesting to you, you could kind of open up a little bit more on the right side, breathing into your ribs, breathing into wherever you feel a stretch here. And on an inhale, bringing your way back to center. And exhaling, releasing your hands down. And noticing what you feel, letting your breath return to a natural rhythm, speed. Let's do a heart opening movement now. So be taking a few breaths in and out as you rest your palms over your sternum, right at the center of your chest here. You might even feel your heart beating underneath your hands. This could be a lot, very sensitive or vulnerable feeling perhaps. So you might also explore palms resting at heart center, or creating a hand movement called the lotus mudra, or hands gesture, which is touching the thumbs, pointer, the pinky finger, and resting at center, open all the other fingers. So lots of options here. I'm going to rest my hands on my heart, one over the other. And the next time an in-breath comes along, open up the arms. Maybe just a bit apart from one another, maybe out wide. And on an exhale, bringing the hands back to center, resting over one another. Maybe bowing the head down, if that's okay. Inhaling, perhaps lifting the gaze up as you open your arms out, maybe just a millimeter from one another, hovering over your chest, or maybe expanding out wide. And exhaling back towards your center. Once more here. And after these 3 heart opening, protecting movements, you can rest your hands down, noticing the residual effects. And we'll do one final movement here. This is another mudra or hand gesture called the obstacle removing mudra. So for this one, you're going to turn your palms towards one another. It doesn't matter which hand's on top, whatever feels better for you. And then you place the palms on one another, slide them out a little bit, and then kind of cup the fingertips against one another and are gently pulling your hands apart from one another as they stay clasped. So you feel like a circuit of energy coming from your hands up through your shoulders, maybe through the heart center area, and back down around through the hands over to the navel. Yeah, so you get to experiment here. How high do you hold the clasp? How does that change the sensation? How low? Do you pull really firmly, or is it really more of like just a soft, barely perceptible, but still there when you're really sensitive and paying attention kind of motion? And you might contemplate a quality of solidness and strength, of power. I mean, if those don't feel like where you're at right now, you might work with whatever it is you do feel and bring in this obstacle removing mudra as a support for that. Let's do 3 more breaths here. Full breath in and deep breath out. And once more. Releasing, noticing what you feel. Thank you for practicing with me today.